I had been a travel agent in the past. I took some time off from that just to kind of refocus and just get my footing to where I'm going next. And really what I wanted to do is refocus instead of trying to be a travel agent to all places, all things. That got pretty difficult while I was able to do it really well, plan some amazing trips for people to like Ireland and Rome and the Caribbean and things like that. It was really tough because I was trying to learn all things and be an expert of everything in the world. And if you're trying to be an expert everywhere, it's hard to be an expert anywhere.
Our guest today is an entrepreneur, a frequent traveler, and in a minute you may think he's actually a time traveler. He's a coach to fellow entrepreneurs, and he is on an amazing mission to live and work in a way that allows him to engage more with those he loves and the things he loves. Welcome back to the show, co-founder of Beebe Travel, Beebe's Bargains, and now Beebe's Coaching, my friend of over 25 years, Jon Beebe.
What's up, Mike? It's great to be
What's
here
good,
again on Mic'd Up. Dude, you're doing a great job just serving people, helping people, and it's an honor to be here.
Thanks, brother. I'm going to give a little insight here to episode 200, that as we record that was the last episode that came out. And guys, if you paid attention, you may hear this guy named John that I talk about in the story a couple times. I didn't name his full name in the episode, but here he is, Jon Beebe. He is the man that really influenced me and inspired me to do episode 200. So if you didn't watch that yet, go back. And when you hear me share my heart, because it's the first time I share my full story, it's in big thanks to my friend here, Jon Beebe. Thanks for being on the show again. Shout out to our beloved Buffalo Bills.
That's right.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. Guys, if you're new to meeting Jon for the first time, all of his websites and social media are clickable in the show notes. So you don't have to worry about spelling his name or finding the websites. He's got those 3 amazing businesses. And really, if you want Jon's full backstory, go back to episode 183. When I had him on for the first time, we talk about his amazing and inspirational transition from actually pastoring for 15 years, decade and a half, let's call it. And he was doing amazing there as a youth pastor. And then he transitions into becoming a full-time entrepreneur with his wife. And they have these amazing companies now. So since you were on last time, brother, you have an Instagram reel that totally popped off. It's now got over 1 million views organically, not paid. And it was really cool. You were promoting the idea that you were going to challenge yourself to get from Philly down to Orlando, see all 4 parks in one day, and be back home in Philly within 24 hours. I want to know, did you pull it off, number one? Then talk about that reel and like what the concept was behind the challenge.
Yeah, so first of all, I pulled it off. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. But the reel, it was really just, if you've seen that dumb reel with that duck that keeps running in and out of a room, I don't know if you've seen that one out there, but I took the concept, I took that duck and I put him on, just images of like leaving my house, going in and out of each park and different things like that. And it popped and it got over 1 million views. I didn't plan that. I was just kind of looking to do something funny and just tell my, community, my followers what I'm doing, things like that, and to get them excited about it. The purpose for the trip was I had been a travel agent in the past. I took some time off from that just to kind of refocus and just get my footing to where I'm going next. And really what I wanted to do is refocus instead of trying to be a travel agent to all places, all things. That got pretty difficult while I was able to do it really well, plan some amazing trips for people to like Ireland and Rome and the Caribbean and things like that. It was really tough because I was trying to learn all things and be an expert of everything in the world. And if you're trying to be an expert everywhere, it's hard to be an expert anywhere, honestly. So that's with any kind of business. You want to try to find that niche that you want to focus on. So for me, I've re-entered the world of travel travel agency, and I'm now just focusing on Walt Disney World. Eventually, I'm sure I'll expand to other Disney locations, but right now just Walt Disney World. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to do that trip as like a promotion to say like, hey, I'm back in the travel space with Walt Disney World. We have an annual pass this year, so I wasn't gonna have to pay for anything, my tickets to the parks. The trip cost me a total of just under $300, including food, flights, my lightning lanes, my individual lightning lanes I bought and things like that down there at the park. And I pulled it off. Well, it was supposed to happen on August 1st. But Frontier canceled my flight. So I had to readjust and, figure out what I was going to do next. And I'm like, maybe it'll happen in a month or two. I have to look at my schedule. And then I'm like, everyone's excited about this. Let me see if I can try to pull it off tomorrow. So I booked the next morning with an American Airlines flight. That way I make sure I get down there. Now I did book a Frontier on the way home just because I needed to get a late enough flight to be able to pull this off, and American didn't have one, so I went with Frontier.
So you were gambling and rolling the dice at the last hour, because if they didn't pull it off, you could have blew the whole thing would have been for nothing, almost.
It would have been, yeah.
So I was gambling to make sure. Then
but it wouldn't have been 24 hours. Yeah. I would have had to stay overnight or something.
Oh my God, I didn't know the ball was in Frontier's court with the game on the line, and they pulled it off. So okay, Frontier, not totally hating, but you delayed the game for a whole.
It only cost $38 to get home.
$38
to get home. It was crazy.
Wow, I'm gonna be using you to book my trips. That's for darn sure, John. But here's a scoop. Like, I saw the video and it was so funny, and I obviously liked it, and was happy to see that it blew up. It's one of those things on social media, like those simple, funny posts. You never know which one's going to hit, but that one really hit. And I think it's because everybody who's been to Disney can relate to that feeling of we're in the door, we're out of the door, we're in the door, we're out of the door. And like the fact that the duck, it was the same thing on repeat, obviously, but you changed the name of the park, and it was funny.
And changed the time and stuff like that.
It was an easy thing to, like, I'm going to give this a heart. Wow, you don't see that and relate to it and then not give it the heart. So I'm so happy to see that helped you share your story, because then what was really cool, I like that you did this, John, is while you were at the park, you took advantage of the opportunity to showcase all the different attractions, what you were doing, how you were kind of being strategic in the park, using rainforests as kind of a cut through to get into one of the gates was one of your tips and tricks. And so can you share, take the floor right now and share maybe another tip or trick that either you executed that day, or maybe just something that you can share a general Disney parks trip tip for the audience right now?
Yeah. So that trip specifically, Mike, was to, like, a lot of people won't want to do a Disney in a one-day trip. Mm-hmm. They're like, I wouldn't want to do that. I'm like, great, don't do it. But that trip was specifically to show my expertise in navigating the parks and doing, I did 13 rides that day. I visited every park. I used pretty much most of the transportation that Walt Disney World offers, including like an Uber from one park to the other. But one of the tips I used was, a lot of people, when they go down to Disney, they don't realize a lot, like Disney, to get into the park, it's one price. But then Disney World also have this thing called Genie Plus. They used to have a thing called Fast Passes, and they were free. And that was, you get like 3 Fast Passes a day to get to the front of the park. Now they call them Lightning Lanes, and you book the Genie Plus for the day. And that includes the opportunity to book multiple old language Fast Passes, new language Lightning Lanes, book multiple of those in one day. So basically you book one, then once you use it, you can book another. But there's a trick to Genie Plus. When you use Genie Plus, if you book one that's past 2 hours past you'll be able to use it, you could book another one then in 2 hours. So you start stacking those. So like, for instance, I started out booking a Lightning Lane later in the day at Slinky Dog Dash at Hollywood Studios. Right. Even though I was starting at Magic Kingdom, then I was going over at Animal Kingdom, then I was going to Hollywood Studios.
So you don't have to be in the park to be able to get it. And then, are they limited? They have it to like the first, 2,500 people or something. So there's not a log jam in the Lightning Lane then?
So they stagger them throughout the day. So I was able to get at the end of the day, I ended up having, we call it stacking Lightning Lane. So if you want to book a Walt Disney World trip, whether you work with another travel agent or myself, I'd be happy to help you. They'll teach you the tricks to stacking Lightning Lanes. So by the end of the day, I had like 5 Lightning Lanes backed up of some of the best rides. So I was like, boom, 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 going on all the best rides at the end of the day. Early in the day, I waited in a couple lines. I think the longest line I waited in was like a half hour for Tower of Terror, believe it or not. But that allowed me to get on a ton of rides, especially later in the day, and utilize that Genie Plus that you have to pay a little bit for, but I'll just tell you, it is so much more worth it. I was at Hershey Park actually the night before this trip, believe it or not. And their front of the line pass cost $150 a day on top of the ticket price.
That's ridiculous.
Now, Genie Plus only costs $25 a day. That's the maximum you'll pay.
Wow.
The lowest you might pay might be $15 a day. So a lot of people were like, Disney's charging for this. But the value of what you get compared to even other parks you go to far exceeds the cost of it. So that was a hack we used, and we love that.
That's really cool to know. Yeah, I definitely am not as Disney, I'm Disney illiterate, I guess I would say, because I go with the family when I can, but it's not one of those things where, you see something, it's like this in life as an entrepreneur. You see something the first time, it might not click. You see it a second time, you're like, "Oh, I'm going to remember that for the third time." By the time you go a handful of times, you guys know pretty much the ins and outs of the parks, which is really cool
Yeah.
that you share that. I'm kind of curious. So you did everything in one day. You hit your laundry list of different attractions, and you mentioned Slinky Dog being one of them, and I remember seeing that on your stories, which was cool. That was one of my favorite rides with Isabel when I went the last time. She's a
It's a great ride.
perfect
It's fun.
age. It was, I think, her first roller coaster ever, so of that size at least. What's your Mount Rushmore of attractions at Disney?
Mount Rushmore is hands down Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind at Epcot. I was able to ride it that day. That was my last ride, so I had the grand finale ride before I left.
What was that
And
one?
that
What was the
is,
second one that you named?
it's called, well, that's the same one. Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind.
Cool.
It's a long name.
Yeah.
Most people just say it's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So that is by far the best attraction ride I've ever ridden in the entire world.
Wow.
Um,
So what
and
is
I've been
it? Yeah,
to,
tell the people who don't know what that is, including
so
myself.
it's a roller coaster in the dark, but not really fully in the dark. It's in a building. You got screens, like literally all the walls are huge screens, and it's telling this epic story of the Guardians of the Galaxy trying to defeat this guy who stole, who stole something from them. And there's rock and roll music playing. It is incredible, and you're actually trying to help them get this piece of information, get this piece of equipment back, so that way they can continue on their mission and continue to do what they're doing. But there's rock and roll music playing. The roller coaster is the smoothest roller coaster you'll feel.
Wow.
If you're prone to motion sickness, which my wife is, but she can do this ride. The carts, I don't want to give too much away, but the carts actually turn slightly, so they're turning while you're moving. They don't like spin, like they're not just spinning like crazy. But there is one point that the cart does a full rotation, but it's actually pretty slow, and it goes with the track.
Yeah.
So it's like the most incredible feeling ever. And then there's a couple surprises in it that I'm not going to give away, but I'll just tell you, I can go on that ride over and over again, and it's incredible. And there's multiple songs that they play, rock and roll songs. So everyone's trying to get like, what song am I going to get? Like,
Oh, it changes
one of them
every
is
time. It's a different experience.
yeah, like we had like Disco Fever last time, like Dancing in September is one of
That's a
them.
good idea.
Like there's about I think it's 7 songs exactly that they have, and they rotate through. And then at Christmas time, they have different Christmas songs, like Run Run Rudolph they'll play. And everyone's like, what song did you get? Those people that are frequent at Disney World, they're trying to get certain songs.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine, Danielle, she's always hoping we get September because she hasn't got it. I haven't got it for a long time. So she's always like, I hope you get September this time. And it's one of those fun things. It's at Epcot though. But Epcot has become an incredible, incredible park. Not only just that, but there's an awesome Frozen ride for the younger kids. There's a new Ratatouille ride that is incredible. So Epcot's become a really, really great destination. And obviously you can drink around the world and try the different foods and drinks from all around the world.
The parents love. I find that parents kind of gravitate to Epcot for sure. That's really cool about Guardians, man. I like the fact that it's a different experience each time. A smooth coaster. I mean, you and I grew up at a park called Darien Lake, and one of their coasters was like a wooden ride, the Predator, and you always had to see a chiropractor the next day. So it's nice to hear a smooth coaster. But I also love the idea that it's incorporating. It sounds like the Minnie Mouse ride. That's a really cool experience with the walls and everything's changing. But like when you're in that moment, your imagination just you forget. You're in like a live action cartoon, and then you're on the train and it's moving. So I would imagine it's got that element, but like almost like the Aerosmith rock and roller coaster with a smooth coaster and that Minnie Mouse experience, but it's obviously Guardians of the Galaxy. So that was one.
That's actually a great way. That's actually a great way to describe
it. Did I nail it? It's awesome.
Yeah, you nailed it. That was awesome.
Cool.
So
yeah, what are a couple others? Yeah, a couple other like the Mount Rushmore. So Guardians is on there.
So I love Big Thunder Mountain, believe it or not. Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom just launched the ride Tron back a few months ago, and that's a launch coaster. They have one, I believe it's Tokyo. They have one over there, and at Disneyland Tokyo, but it's almost very identical from what I hear. But that's a really cool launch roller coaster. I don't even think it compares to Guardians, though. Guardians so much better. At Magic Kingdom, though, my favorite ride there is the Big Thunder Mountain, and there's a couple of reasons why. A little bit nostalgic. It's a cool ride. It's long. Everyone can enjoy it. There's not many roller coasters from that era that can seat 3 across, so you can put 3 people across, which is cool. So if you're riding with a husband, wife, and then one of the kids, it's really cool to ride with them together. But cool information about that ride, Big Thunder Mountain. My wife's grandfather, so her dad's dad, he was the project manager in charge of building Big Thunder Mountain.
Yeah. You
So
were telling me about
his
this at one point.
fingerprints are
Yeah.
all over Big Thunder Mountain. So
That's
when we
cool.
ride that, we're like, oh, this is Lauren's grandpa's ride. Like he was literally in charge of building that. My father-in-law would go with him to the parks when he was a kid, when they were still building it before Disney World was even open, while they were putting
That's
this
so
together.
cool, man.
So it
Is
was
that the
really
one that
cool.
has
So that ride's
the goes backwards, kind of like broken track with the Yeti, or is that Everest?
that one's Everest at Animal Kingdom. Big Thunder's a lot older.
Oh, okay.
It's back,
That's the
30,
waterfall
40
one.
years ago that was built. That one's Splash
I'm
Mountain.
terrible. See this, guys? I don't know what
It's
the heck
next
I'm
to
talking about.
it's next to Splash
Okay.
Mountain. So Big Thunder
Big
Mountain
Thunder
and Splash Mountain
I
right
thought
now
they
is
were
getting
the same
reimagined
ride
right
all
now.
this time. In my brain, it was the same ride. It's terrible.
Yeah, and Splash Mountain's actually getting reimagined. That's going to be open in 2024.
Okay.
That's getting reimagined more to a Tiana, Princess and the Frog theme.
Yeah.
So that's going to be pretty exciting. I mean, there's a lot of people that are disappointed that the old one left, but I always get excited for new stuff. So the big giant hill with the splash is still going to be there.
Hey, John, I got an idea. It's my own challenge. It's a challenge to you, challenge to me. When I have you on for the third time, we should do something at Disney. We'll do like an on the spot podcast or something, and we can.
Oh,
all
I'll
right?
do that.
So 3.0, Jon Beebe
Yeah.
3.0 will be in Florida, and we could be covering this firsthand, which would be cool. And then
Maybe it'll be the next time I do my 1 day
let's do.
challenge.
I'll go with you, and then we can laugh and be like, here's Splash Mountain, and here's actually the other, and basically it's teaching me. The whole thing is educating me on Disney. All right, so we got Guardians. Did you put Tron in there?
Tron's in there, yeah, because it's one of those new rides that's pretty exciting.
Big
You got
Thunder.
Big Thunder. I would also say, Flight of Passage, Avatar
Okay,
Flight
yeah.
of Passage is, think of like, if you've been on Soarin' at Epcot, think of Soarin', but it's like you're sitting on a Banshee and you're riding it, and while you're sitting on it, almost like a motorcycle style sit on, but the Banshee like it's guilt, like when it's breathing, you feel its body moving open, you're holding on to it, and it's flying. You feel like you're flying through Pandora. It's a multiple minute ride, and I describe it as one of the most, like, it's adrenaline, it's relaxation. There's so much sensories happening all across the board. And when I get off that, whenever I go on that, I say, I need this, because it's like so relaxing, so exciting. This, like, all senses, your feel, your sense, your
Adrenaline,
your smell, like all of it's kind of there, and you feel like you're a part of like what's going on there. I mean, at some points water comes up and you feel like it's actually hitting you. It's not, but it's like, it's pretty cool. It's an incredible ride. That's at Animal Kingdom.
That's awesome.
But every ride has amazing things for families. And hey, by the way, those that are listening, the coolest thing about Disney World is if you have a child that has not turned 3 yet, they are free to get in every park.
Okay.
When you go to the character dinings, they are free to eat at the character dinings. Like, they are free at buffets, a child under 3. And they're free on all the rides. And believe it or not, like, even at Magic Kingdom, like 85% of the rides, anybody can ride. You could take a baby on it, like a newborn baby, and they can ride it with you, because the rides aren't all about like the excitement of like big thrill rides. They're more the experience, the environment they put you in. And it's an incredible experience. So a lot of people will be like, I can wait till my kids are older. Take advantage of that, especially if your kid hasn't turned 2 yet. You can get free flights if they're under 2, and then free into the parks.
Yeah, and I remember, I think I may have gone the first time. I know I went to Disneyland when I was old enough to remember at about 8, and then I went to Disney World, maybe 3 or 4 times since then. But the idea of going anything younger than 3, it's like your memory is not quite totally formed yet. But the thing is, nowadays, every family member's got their own smartphone. That thing is going to be turned into a Shutterfly book. There's going to be video footage of it. So even when that 2-year-old that doesn't remember in the moment, by the time they're 12, they'll be able to go back and experience that and kind of see themselves, and it'll be cool for them to have that as a great memory. So obviously still cool.
By the time my youngest daughter was like 2 or 3, or like 3 or 4, she could tell you what ride was in every park. And here's the thing. People tell me all the time, like I hear this statement all the time. I'm going to wait till my kids can remember it to take them to Disney World. My kind of thought is, so my kids really didn't remember much at that time. So am I just going to do nothing with my kids until they turn that age? Like, why not take them when they're free and go have a great experience with your family?
You get to see them having fun and giggling and seeing the attractions and like in the moment, you're making your kid happy. So is it less valuable because they won't remember it in 15 years? So I'm totally with you on that. And that's like I said,
Exactly.
you can capture it anyways for the memory side of it. I'll tell you what, like the things I remember as a kid, like the really like core memories. Remember the movie? What was that Disney movie? Pixar, Inside Out.
Oh,
It's basically
Inside
like
Out.
it's a cool
Jinx.
movie that has you really think about like your childhood and those core memories you have and like the good ones and the sad ones and stuff. And it's like every time I think about things that I have really vivid memories of, I know we have old VHS tapes of it and I've seen it a handful of times. Plus I have like the real memory of it and they kind of become one core thing in my brain. Um, so that's why, I think like Isabel, she remembers stuff. I'm like, I barely remember taking her to like that one fun arcade. It was just like a random day and who knows where we were. And she'll like remember that one game? And I'm like, man. But like we might have a photo together that she's seen on my phone. Like we scroll through and she's like, oh, because she sees it, she remembers it and she can associate with that. So we hit on the Mount Rushmore.
Yep.
There's one other thing, Disney, and then we're going to talk about your coaching business in a second here. Something that's special about you and I is that we're both Bills fans. And to anyone who's not a Bills fan listening, you might be like, oh, whatever. But there's this special bond that we have. You were in Disney with your whole family, like, was it about a week after you did the solo trip for the 24-hour challenge? And you ran
Yeah.
into, I think a guy noticed your Bills hat. And can you share the story? You guys ended up spending time with his family, his daughters. And that's just like what Billsmafia is about. I mean, you guys became one big family, right? For a couple hours?
Yeah. It was crazy. And to give you that kind of quickly is Lauren and I, my wife Lauren, when we go down to Disney, we don't always publicize this or share it because it's not about who knows about it. It's just about doing good because that's what Billsmafia is about. That's what the Buffalo community is about. Even though I live near Philly, I still have Buffalo everywhere. Like I'm biggest
Yeah.
Bills fan in Philly area. So whenever we go down to Disney, we'll usually buy a New Jersey and not New Jersey like the state, but we'll buy a new Bills jersey. Like the New Jersey Giants or
Hello.
the New Jersey Jets because the Bills are the only, true New York team. If you're New Jersey Jets or New Jersey Giants fan,
Daggers
you're
are
still
thrown.
cool, but
Daggers
that's
are
your team.
thrown.
But
All right, cool.
anyways, so that being said, when we go down there, we buy a Bills jersey. And then when somebody says go Bills to us, one of the first person will be like, hey, if we have a Josh Allen jersey or a Jim Kelly jersey or whatever jersey we're bringing, we'll be like, hey, do you have a Josh Allen jersey? And they'll be like, no. And we'll be like, now you do. And we just
Awesome.
literally hand them a bag with a brand new Josh Allen jersey in it. And they're like, well, are you kidding me? And we're like, no. They're like, why? We're like, just because we like being a blessing to people and giving things. I mean, God's blessed us and we like to bless other people. So we just do that. So we didn't have time. We forgot to order it. We didn't get it in time for this trip. So then we're like, it is what it is. We'll just get it for our next trip. So I'm down there. I'm yelling "Go Bills" to everybody like I do, being obnoxious. And there's this guy way across, like a good distance away from me, and he has one of those Zuba hats on, those Bills ones, and it's the bucket hat. So it didn't even say Bills on it. It was just Zuba. And I yell across. I'm like, "Yo, go Bills!" And he like turns and looks, sees us, and like, "Yeah, go Bills!" And then after I think his daughter and his daughter's friend were in the bathroom, after they got out of the bathroom, he came over, talked with us, and he ended up saying, "He's like, how long you guys here?" And his name's Jad, so shout out to Jad if you're listening to this. But he said, "How long you guys here?" We said, "We're leaving Thursday." He said, "Well, Wednesday, my daughter and her friend and I, we have a VIP tour set up, and a friend of ours was going to come visit, and they weren't able to, so we could take up to 10 people, but there's only 3 of us, so we don't want to waste that because it's very expensive to do the VIP tour down there." So he said, we never thought we'd ever be on one. So he said, "We'd love to, bless you and your family and have you guys come with us on the VIP tour this Wednesday." So we were like, "Are you kidding me?" VIP tour is like, they take you around, give you lightning lanes to every ride. Some of the rides, they'll even bring you to the backstage to the front. It just depends how busy they are and things like that. But it's literally like early access, front of the line. Like they drive you in a van. They take you behind, behind where the cast members go. You enter the parks, not through any other areas, like other than just like backstage. It's incredible. And they give you snacks and food throughout the day. And you have a guy who's just guiding you around saying, "Hey, we're going to take you in this back door. We're going to go here." And Jad and his family literally blessed us for the whole day. We had food, we had everything all day. We went to every park. We did like 13, 14 attractions in a matter of like 6 hours, 7 hours because we had this VIP tour.
You were on the receiving end of a Go Bills, right?
It was like we we never go down there thinking we're going to get things for people. That's not our goal. And we did what we do to people, except a jersey. VIP tour is a lot more than a jersey, but still.
have strong faith and we believe, but you can call that karma too. And I know you weren't doing it for the good karma to come around, but it just, I wanted you to share that because it's cool to see someone who, the big heart that, you guys got to be on the receiving end. And I hope that encourages someone to do. It doesn't have to be a $150 sports jersey, but it could just be give someone a $25 gift card to a local coffee shop that's popular and they're behind you in line and you don't have to explain it. You just do it.
My wife likes doing that when she goes to Taco Bell. She loves Taco Bell. She'll go to Taco Bell and she'll be like, hey, just pay for the person behind us just because.
That kind of starts the pay it forward train too, which is cool.
Yeah, it's incredible. So a lot of fun. Love being able to do that. And it's just a shout out even a few episodes back to the Del Reed episode. If they didn't listen to that, go listen to that. You can hear the Billsmafia story. Mafia literally means family. And Billsmafia likes to treat everybody like family, regardless of what team they're with. You know what I mean? So go back and listen to that story. It was a great episode that Mike had a few episodes back.
The fact that he quite accidentally coined the term Billsmafia and it went from a joke to being a movement. And that's the move, what we're talking about there, that giving aspect and how much how much charity has been raised through the Billsmafia movement, through 26 shirts. Shout out to Del. Been incredible. We're going to take a quick 2-minute timeout. We'll be right back with Jon. Podcasting is a great way to engage with your audience and stay consistently relevant. The only problem is you don't have the time or desire to produce your own show. You simply want it done for you. And that's where Social Chameleon comes in. All you need to do is press record and upload the files. We'll handle the rest. From planning, production, post-production, distribution, and digital marketing, we have you covered. We realize that times are tough and funds are tight. And Social Chameleon believes in building supportive business relationships. By clicking on the link in this promo, we'll provide you 7 free podcasting tips to get started, as well as a free 30-minute online consultation. This is the perfect opportunity for entrepreneurs, keynote speakers, industry experts, influencers, and anybody who has a personal brand. With Social Chameleon, we help you build a brand that is out of this world. We're ready and waiting, so what are you waiting for? Click on the link to get started today. Hey guys, it's Mike. I'd like to give a proper shout out to Navigator Bookkeeping. Look, for a long time, I ran my business without really understanding the full financial picture. I used my gut and my bank account balance to make decisions, which led to some poor choices and constant stress over my business's finances. I knew something needed to change. At the beginning of 2021, I made a decision that helped pave a more clear path for my business. I started working with Navigator Bookkeeping. Since then, my bookkeeping has been handled for me. I now understand the full financial story of my business, making important financial decisions much easier now, and it helps me plan for where my business is going. I highly recommend giving Navigator Bookkeeping an opportunity to help your business. Check them out at navigatingyourbooks.com. Again, that's navigatingyourbooks.com. It's time to know the full financial story of your business. All right, we're back in action with Jon Beebe, and remember, you can connect with him on social media. Check out that viral reel that he's got going on Instagram. He's got a couple that actually are going really well, and there's going to be many more to come because he's talking about Disney. He's talking about Beebe's Bargains, how he can help you save money for you and your family. He's also talking about his coaching for entrepreneurs. So there's a lot of great content, especially on Jon's Instagram. So I got that clickable. Check out his websites as well. We were just talking a little bit about Billsmafia. Now we're transitioning into the business side of it, your coaching business. And I want you to cover the importance of a strong mission statement. A lot of people hear about it. Sounds good. Woo woo. No, this is real. This is very real and applicable to your business. Can you walk somebody through the process of creating that and then why it's important for a business or entrepreneur to know their why?
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate it, Mike. So, I have a workshop I'm actually in the middle of running right now with a bunch of awesome people in it. And right now we're going through, each week, we got 4 weeks, 4 different sessions. And we're talking about first week, know your why. Second week, know your community. That's your clients, your audience, whoever that might be. The next week is know your products. Like, are you doing drop shipping? Are you doing, affiliate marketing? Are you creating your products? And then the last week is know your team, like when and why to build your team. But all of that starts with knowing your why. I feel it's very important for any business, for anything you run, to know your why. I would say this might surprise a lot of people, but most people, when they start their
Mhm.
business, they just get it started. And then years later, they go back and they're like, well, I should probably write a mission statement now. And what I've noticed is,
Mhm.
and I did that. We did that. And what I've noticed now is as we start new businesses, we write our whys and we figure that out beforehand because that helps you make the right decisions to get to where you
Mhm.
want to go. So when I talk about knowing your why in one of my business workshops I run, I first talk about your life's why. Your not your wife's lie, your life's why.
Yeah.
Your life's mission statement. So you talk about what is the mission statement for your life? And at the front end, when you introed me, Mike, you talked
Yeah.
about it. And if you don't know your life's mission statement, like let me give an illustration here. So if you have like my mission statement is I want to live and work in a way that allows me to engage more with those I love and the things I love.
Mhm.
Okay. So say I love culinary
Mhm.
arts. Say I love culinary arts and I, would love to maybe open a restaurant or help people do something with cooking. And then I'm like, "Well, I want to open a restaurant. Let's go back to my life mission statement. I want to live and work in a way that allows me to engage more with those I love and the things. If I own a restaurant, I open a restaurant, will that allow me to still run after my life why, my life mission statement?
Right.
No, because if you own a restaurant, you're working nights, you're working holidays, you're working weekends. I'm not going to be able to engage more with those I love, the things I.
Mhm.
So it is more. I won't be able to engage more because I'm going to be so ingrained in
Yeah.
my
Definitely
business.
not as much in
So
the
then I got
beginning,
to
maybe 15 years later,
maybe
but
later.
that you're talking about a 1% of 1% now at that point, right?
So then I would have to
Yeah.
pivot there and say, I don't need to get rid of working in the culinary arts department, working in that realm with food and things like that. I just need to pivot and say, okay, what can I start? What kind of business can I start around food, around
Mhm.
cooking? That's not a restaurant, but that also doesn't compete with my life why. So we're talking about our life's why. I always talk about like keep it short and sweet, no matter whichever it's your life or your mission, your business and mission statement. Keep it short and sweet. Stay positive. Use positive things when you're talking about your mission statement. Like if you're going to say, "Hey, I don't want to waste time." Instead of saying that, you may want to say, "Hey, I'd like to take advantage of the time I have or make the best use of the time." So use
Mhm.
positive things when you're writing a mission statement. Include essential values or behaviors or traits. Keep it
Yeah.
practical. Like whether you're going into your business or your life, could you wake up every day and could you say, "I can make decisions based on this mission
Mhm.
statement"? Or is it so like so out there where it's like, I don't really know how to apply this today.
Yeah, because if you don't understand it and it's not clear to you, how are you gonna represent that
No.
by your actions to other people so then your team members can understand it? If it's too convoluted, it'll just be a nice thing that you throw up on. I mean, I worked in corporate America. It would be on the wall in the back room. And we'd all have to memorize it. So when the area manager's manager came to town, we'd have to know because he'd go, "What's our mission statement?" And then we'd all be like, robots like blah 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 blah, and it's like nobody actually did it because they threatened you with it. It wasn't like you just said, positive, we're in it, I actually, personally didn't act that way. I did like kind of download it into my soul, and when I wasn't, an employee for that company, I really did a great job with it, but that like it was something that became learn it by rote, did not learn it by actually acting it out, so that's really important.
Yeah, and, when it comes to the mission statement, I would say your personal mission statement almost becomes and you can write that if you're married, you have a partner, you can write that with that person as well, but you can also each have your own, and that's okay. But that if you're not especially if you're an
Mhm,
entrepreneur, that's gonna help you make business decisions because 'cause you're like, "Wait, this is what I want my life to look like." Because a lot of people will jump out of the corporate world to become an entrepreneur, and they say they wanna get freedom of their time. They wanna just have more life freedom. And then what happens is they put themselves right back into what they did when they were in the corporate world, and they're working 60, 70 hours a week, and they're not able to spend time with their family because 'cause they're working on their business, and they're like, "I left the corporate world to
mhm,
do this." It's like, if you're doing that, write that mission statement for
mhm.
your life and then make choices based on that. Make it super practical. Make it something you can make choices off of. Because at the end of the day, I think you can have a life mission statement and not a business mission statement, and your business can
It
still
can serve
succeed.
it, right? Your
But if you
business
have a,
mission
it
needs
can,
to serve your personal. If it doesn't, there's a disconnect.
yes. And I think if you have a personal mission statement and not a
Yeah.
business one, I think your business can still be successful. But if you have a business mission statement and not a personal one, I think honestly that could hurt your
Agreed.
personal life because you're running so much after the business that your personal life gets
Guilty,
hurt.
by the way.
So,
Guilty
you
right
know,
here, John. Full transparency. Yeah.
I've been as well.
And I know we have a couple minutes. I'd like you to a little mic drop moment here at the last minute. What would you say is one thing that you and Lauren, shout out to your beautiful family and your wife Lauren, um, what's one thing that you know for certain you did and you're like, this is a big reason why we're successful? Is it you just talked about the mission statement? I think that's clear. Is there something else that you feel like you kind of played your cards right that you can share with the audience so they can do the same?
I would say you don't always have to know everything. And just letting your business evolve and roll with the ebbs and flows of what's happening. And especially when you develop that mission statement, just kind of keep letting it roll and making decisions based off of that, not having everything figured out, but just letting it roll. But to be honest, one of the most biggest decisions we made is I was working full time as a pastor and I was also helping her run her business. This October, we're celebrating 5 years. And for 3 years of the business, I was still working as a pastor because she started it more as a
Mhm.
hobby. And it was more as a hobby and it formed into a full-fledged business. So I'm working in the business. I'm also working full time as a pastor. And if you're working full time as a pastor, you're on call 24/7 if
Right.
things happen. Um, I'm doing that. And we came to a moment where we felt like John's home, but when he's home, he's not really present because he's figuring out the business. He's also pastoring, caring for other people. And there came a moment where we had to say, we have to make a decision for the sake of the health of our family. We have three beautiful daughters, and them and my wife and just myself too, for my own health. And we made a decision because we had a business mission statement. I didn't have a personal business
Mhm.
mission statement. I did it
Mhm.
opposite. So that's why I love helping entrepreneurs not make the mistake
Mhm.
I made. And my business mission statement was this, and it still is. We want to save people time and money so they can engage more with those they love and the things
Yeah.
they love. Does that sound familiar? So I realized that we were trying to help families engage more with those they love and the things they love by saving them money on everyday products from reputable retailers
Mhm.
online. And we were trying to do that. And we were successful in that, but we weren't living that.
Mm.
I wasn't engaging more with those I love and the
Mhm.
things I love. So we had to make a decision based off of that. And it was a hard decision because I had to give up a salary
Mhm.
that I had. I had to give up insurance that I had. So I'll just tell you, making hard decisions when you know they are right, that was one of the biggest decisions we made. And yes, we lost a
Mhm.
salary, but in the last couple of years, we've been able to recoup that through the energy I've been able to pour into
Mhm.
the business. So making hard decisions, and I'll tell you, not everyone understood that. Mike, you and I
Mhm.
have chatted about this before as entrepreneurs. Not everyone understands it, not even some of our closest family members. We love them to
Mhm.
death, but they
Mhm.
don't always get it or understand what we do. And that being said, entrepreneurs, if you're listening, you get that. You get that not everyone
Yeah.
will understand you. But you got to make decisions that are best for your family, best for yourself, so that way you can serve the world with your God-given talents as
Yeah.
best as possible. Because if you don't, then you're just being what everybody else wants you to be, and you're making decisions based off
Yeah.
whatever anyone else wants you to. So make decisions based off of what you know in your heart is the right decision to do. And I'll just tell you, success will follow. Um, you know, satisfaction
Yeah.
will follow. And I wish everyone the best. If I can help in any way with my coaching business, I'd be more than willing to. Even if you shoot me a message and you just want me to need a question answered, I'll
Yeah.
answer a question for you.
Guys,
I'll
that's
help
a
you out.
mic drop moment right there to wrap the show up. And I wish we could talk a little bit more about it, but I want you to go back and listen to that again because there's some details in that, what John just said, that are really, really strong for you to apply to yourself. And I just want to share something with the audience real quick. John, and go back to listen to the episode 183. We talk a lot about community. John and Lauren built this community around Beebe's Bargains. There's like over 65,000 people. It's clear that that's been a big reason that your business is successful, but it's because that community is thriving based on your mission statement. It all is layers. And you talked about entrepreneurs kind of having similar experiences, which I agree. And you and I are both in different mastermind groups, but I feel like we've been thriving recently due to connecting with our mastermind groups. because everyone in there
100%.
understands those struggles. They understand that your parents love you, but they may be kind of upset with you because what they wanted for you is not what you want for yourself anymore. And there's this disconnect, and they still love you. They want to see you thrive. But if you have to struggle for 3 years to thrive way further than they could even imagine, because their values and things that they appreciate are different than what you do. So you really have to get laser focused on what you want. And I'll tell you what, two people trying to get somewhere, one has a roadmap, one doesn't. Who's going to get there first? You're talking about building the roadmap, layering it out, mission statement. If you're married and potentially that's your business partner too, like you are, being on the same page, so you guys are moving in the same direction. Community, man, is so important. Guys, go back to E183 and check our conversation out about community. Jon, thank you so much, brother. And I'm going to say one last thing, and I know that there's somebody waiting for me, so I want to be respectful of them. Jon is a guy who, at 11 o'clock at night, he'll text me, check in, and I'll just tell him I'm kind of going through something right now. And he'll pick up the phone and talk to me at 11 o'clock at night. And he's done it multiple times. He doesn't have to do it. Jon, I hope you know that you know that guy, the Billsmafia story? You were on the receiving end of it. Well, someday I'll be happy to have you on the receiving end of my 11 o'clock call. If you need to call me, give me a shout. That's a real friend, Jon. I really appreciate you. You are a legit human being and just a great person with a big heart. And the world needs more people like that. And I feel like there's people listening right now. And if you are get something in your heart and you just want to go and do it, we're encouraging you. You're the person that God's calling you. If you don't believe in God, the universe is calling you to do that. And I just want Jon's on the show today to say, hey, I did it for my family and myself. Mike's doing it for himself. You can do it too. That's what I'm going to end with. Thank you guys so much. I don't have my BGBG mug, Jon. I'm going to tell you anyway. Be
That's
great
right.
and be grateful. Thank you for your time today.
Love you, brother.